Good evening, it's Hutchy here on Boro Fan TV with this week's edition of the Monday Night Show. Tonight I'm joined by Damon LaRoche and David Campbell. Welcome again, lads.
Cheers, James. Welcome.
Nice to see you again, boys. Boro fans, the weekend saw Boro pick up a point on their travels as they drew with top six opponent Stoke City. Was it a point gained or two dropped for you, Boro fans? We're going to look back at that game as well as discussing another tough match ahead at the weekend when Bournemouth come to the Riverside. Lots of other things to talk about. So, as always, Boro fans, this is your platform. Join us on the Monday Night Show on Boro Fan TV tonight and air your views. We always enjoy hearing from you all. So, without further ado, David, I'll come to you first, mate. We'll look back at the Stoke City game at the weekend. Were you surprised that Chris Wilder made two changes to a side that had beaten Swansea the week before?
I was. I touched upon last week. I don't believe in changing a winning side. But listen to Wilder's interview after the match. He was saying that Bamba wasn't feeling very well. So obviously Fry slots in. I mean, arguably we'd all agree Fry should be in the back three, but I don't think you should change the winning side. And what was interesting was the change in keeper position, especially after getting the clean sheet. I mean, for me, they were both as bad as each other. I have no confidence in either of them. And maybe just trying to test them out. But it just begs the question, why didn't he start Lumley straight under his tenure? Because there was no injury to Lumley at that point when Wilder came in. So he looks like he's just trying to give them both an option, both a chance for the next few weeks, and then hopefully decide in January to bring a brand new keeper in, which we both expect.
Yeah, definitely. Damon, just coming to you. I mean, in terms of the changes, no doubt they were justified by the fact that we got another clean sheet. And as David mentioned there, Dale Fry came back into the side and fitted in almost seamlessly. And he underlined again how big a role he has to play in the future of Chris Wilder's tenure at the club, didn't he?
Well, it's important. It's important we keep on to him, really, because he's such a vital player for us. He offers something what other people don't, and especially with Bamba, he's forever aging. He's not going to be in every week, is he? So I was happy with the draw on Saturday, to be honest. A point was gained rather than two lost, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just over the moon that we should have scored. Like, don't get me wrong, because it was a gilt-edged chance. But I'm happy with the result, James. You know, I mean, we can't grumble as Boro fans.
No, good stuff. Peter Grassham's got in touch. He said, we're looking at a solid team and creating chances. And also there, Jonesy, Boro, he said there, I thought Fry was class on Saturday. We'll get on to the Duncan Watmore missing a little bit. And Gareth Cole there, thanks for watching again, Gareth. He said, loving the fact that we're getting the ball on the ground and passing it, not hoofing it in the air and hoping for the best. And David, I was going to say, the shift in approach over the past month, I think, again, that's illustrated by the fact that I think it's the third match running that we've dominated the possession, and we're against a decent side, again, on the road. Yet, once again, we've dominated the possession. Probably the only criticism is that we didn't do an awful lot with the ball on Saturday. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you could argue that for either team as well for Saturday. But we always said, look, if you get your midfield battles right and then you can dominate possession, you're in a good chance of winning the game. And barring Swansea, I think we've done that in every game. Obviously, Swansea are known for possession, so it was trying to counteract that. But every other game, I think we've been relatively close in the midfield battle of winning that, and then you build upon that as a team. If you can get your transition periods between defensive midfield and attack, I just think it's the midfield and attack we now need to work on, because, like you say, we're not creating enough. Jones is getting up and down on the right wing and supplying some crosses, but other than that, I struggle to see where the goals are going to come from in this system with this personnel we've got at the moment.
Yeah. We have to get on to it, Damon, so I'll pass this over to you. Timmy Leach is saying, how did Watmore miss that goal? I bet he never slept. Unfortunately, the one clear-cut chance we did create on Saturday involving Isaiah Jones and Duncan Watmore didn't have the same outcome as it had in the previous away game at Huddersfield, but you could say at least he's in the position again to miss it, can't you?
Yeah, he's there creating chances. You know, I can't fault the lad for his work ethic. especially glimpses of when I was at the Swansea game. He runs his backside off every game, and Saturdays again proved the same. He's just unlucky, but I'm sure the goals will flow once he gets a bit more, I don't know, quality added to the squad, I would say, because some of the chances we create, but it's phenomenal. Like, because you get these chances, and then you have to stick them in the back of the net. But we don't have that quality enough. But what I want to pick up on is the fact that we give silly balls away in the game. I'm not criticising the old team, but certain aspects of the Saturday and the Swansea game, we have gifted silly balls away, and that could have cost us as well in both games.
Do you think that, in a way, Damon, is because there's been quite a shift in how Boro approach games now in terms of the playing style? Is that maybe because the players have been asked to do something quite different to what they've been previously used to doing?
Maybe, yeah, and it's like they're asking, like, because under Warnock, Tav was playing out of position, wasn't he? Jones was playing his natural position. Now he's playing out of position with Wilder. So it could be a factor, James. But it's like say only time will tell, won't it? With what he's trying to do here with Chris Wilder. As I said, we just need a bit more quality going forward.
In terms of Watmore, I think that just highlights the difference between Premiership class and Championship. When you're talking about composure, Watmore's good at snatch chances where he doesn't have to think, and it's just instinct. Give him a time to make a decision, he struggles, and I think that's obviously why you've never seen him at his peak of career in the Premier League. And that's not me criticising him, because I appreciate what he brings to the team. I think all those fans do his work ethic, but to go a different level, you need to be consistent. You need to be more composed, and he doesn't have that.
Yeah. And David, at the opposite end of the pitch, I thought the defence stood up really well to the challenges that were presented by Stephen Fletcher and Tyrese Campbell. Contrasting styles, but the defence stood up to them. We mentioned about Fry, we talk about Fry, but as a whole, as a unit, the defence did really well on Saturday, didn't they?
Yeah, the lines when they were dropping into a 5 at times was superb. And credit to Joe Lumley, I thought he was excellent on Saturday, commanding his box. It was one thing obviously he could goal at Birmingham City when he tried coming out for the corner, like the free kick, and we conceded. I thought that's something he needs to brush up on, and he seemed to brush up on that and try making a statement. And long may it continue. I mean, I have my worries, but Fry, McNair, even Dykesteel. I thought Dykesteel was possibly man of the match for me on Saturday. I thought he was really, really good.
Yeah. Do you think though, David? Do you think though the reason why Lumley's was quality on Saturday is because he had that rock solid defence behind him?
It could be, but he still needs to come out and command his box, Damon, didn't he? And we haven't seen him do that in previous games. Credit where credit's due. I know some Boro fans like to just pick on the player, and when they're in the Boo Boys and they have a good game, they don't praise them, but they're quick to criticise.
I mean, we might see Dejan Stojanovic next week, mightn't we? So all three might have been.
Anything can happen like that, Damon, can't it?
Yeah.
Timmy Leach has mentioned there, we're throwing this back into the ring. Jed Spence to return, and we talked about this before we came on air tonight. What's your thoughts on that, Damon? Do you think Jed Spence will come back?
I think he'll stay where he is, personally. I think because he's got Jones in that position, he might tighten up and get another right back and another left back in the January window. And obviously other key areas that we need to strengthen. But I think Spence will stay where he is. Maybe look to a permanent deal of Forest if the price is right.
What price would you say is right, Damon? Because obviously in the Premier League, in the Championship, you're not going to be able to throw the money around that Premier League.
For me, it'd be about 4 or 5 million.
Seriously, reckon someone will pay 4 or 5 million for Jed Spence?
If you're lucky of that price, given his age, that's all I'd say, James.
I'd say a Premier League team could afford to make that bold chance, wouldn't they? But
I don't know where you get that valuation based on what he's done at the Boro. You've seen little flashes of a quality player in there, but not consistently enough, I don't think, to justify that sort of fee.
Oh, 100%. I totally agree. He's definitely not worth that, but it's pittance to the likes of Tottenham to take a risk, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's what we've seen in it's what we've seen in the I've never seen the performances, James, like that. That's why, but the reason why I've given that price is because we've seen silly money brandished out for players in this market.
Yeah. Championship players can't take a gamble for that much money, though, can they?
No,
not really. No, David. No.
Colin Fry's mentioned there. Just been reading about Spence. He says he wants to stay at Forest till the end of the season, so it might be that he just sees his loan deal out there.
Again, if that is the case, and that shows his attitude as well, doesn't it? Because if there's a chance and he's coming out and staying stuff like that, we don't want those types of characters returning to what he's trying to build, do we?
Yeah.
I mean, we have got a buyback clause. I know that for a fact. Same with Coulson. So
I didn't read Paul's message, by the way.
No, that's okay. It's just like totally, exactly what you've said there. Probably have Spence. He's clearly happy at Forest. If we forced him to come back, you might just see one big sulk on the pitch. And as you say, David, we don't want that to happen. And Chris Wilder, he already seems to have welded together a positive team spirit amongst the players. Do you think there's something different that he's done in comparison to Neil Warnock, or do you just think it is a good changing room that Wilder's walked into?
Yeah, I think he has walked into a good change room. And when Warnock was saying it was like, right, do we believe that? Because we've heard it all before. But genuinely, I think it does. But when you talk about a close-knit group, I think it comes in different formats. He's not changing the style of play. He's not changing the style of formation week in, week out, so the players don't get consistency. And he's also keeping like the majority of the same 11. So I think all those types of things brings the squad closer together, because you're not seeing these chop and change and then a 3-5-2 to a 4-3-3. So look, I think Wilder's open and honest with them, has told them all to play for the future. So I think that's why it's looking close knit at the moment.
Yeah. And we spoke at the top of the show, David, about, is it a point gained or was it 2 dropped on Saturday? What's your thoughts on the draw at Stoke in terms of what we got from it?
Oh, it was 100% a point gain. I think when you're playing teams who are in and around you, especially away from home in the situation we are, it's a point gained, and then you can build on that. If you get your home form correct, and then once January comes and they start picking results up away from home, I just think in the moment in time, Stoke away is a point gained. If you ask me that later in the season when we've got, his own men in January, you can see the other side of the coin saying we should maybe try go for 3. But at the moment, I'd say it was a point gain. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. No, I'm with that. Definitely with that. I was happy to get a draw there on Saturday. Gareth Cole's got in touch with us again, and he said Wilder is going to be one of the best managers we've had for years. I can see his quality. You're not chopping and changing formations. He's got us playing solid football on the ground, and he's a massive Wilder fan. And David, just bringing it back to you again, pal. I mean, Chris Wilder, after the game, he was saying about Stoke will be a top 6 team this season. So I'll throw this one out to you. If Stoke are going to be a top 6 team, where do you gauge the Boro as being at? Bearing in mind how that game on Saturday went, where do you think Boro are in comparison to Stoke?
I don't think we're far off. I think we'd just miss out on the playoffs. For me, but depends on who. It's all. The scenario comes to January, isn't it? That big one word. What he brings in January. So I'd love to see us get the playoffs. I really would. But for me, I said to my dad at the start of the season, even before Wilder was in, I said, have a consolidate season, get mid-table, and then have a really good go next year, because we haven't got the squad depth that likes of your Fulhams, your Bournemouths, your West Brom stuff. We're a million miles away from them, I think. But we, like I say, we just have to grin and bear it as Boro fans, and we hope for the best, don't we? So, but under Wilder, I think is this man's going to be really something at the club, because he's doing a lot of things right, and he's saying the right things and doing the right things.
James, I heard the same press conference as you, and it didn't even occur to me of where he would thought of us as a team until you've just mentioned. And realistically, now I'm wondering, what's he indicating where we're at as a club then?
Yeah.
Was he saying, "Oh, we're going to top 5 or top 4," or was he? I don't know. It didn't come to me like that.
Yeah. He doesn't give anything away, though, does he?
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I think he's a very shrewd bloke, and I think he's trying to take pressure off us and maybe putting it onto other sides by maybe saying, "Look, Stoke, top 6 them." So it's heaping a bit more pressure on them, and they are a good team, good squad. They've got it all there, got a good manager in place, but he doesn't sort of say, "Well, that's where we're at," or anything like that. I think he's trying to deflect attention away from ourselves a little bit. I don't know if you agree with that, David.
Yeah, 100%. And the best thing about sorry, David. The best thing about Chris Wilder is he lets the players do the Thursday press conferences, and I like that on social media. And then you got the Friday that you read Chris Wilder, don't you? But that's what I like. You see different players, and you get the insights and the minds. And in certain players, as you said before we come on air, James, that Isaiah Jones wasn't comfortable in front of the camera. He has a bit of nerves, but like I say, I did when I started doing this. So,
and I think the thing is as well, David and Damon, at the end of the day, we're on 30 points. We're about halfway through the season, so there's still plenty of scope for Boro to make a push for the top 6 this season. And that's not we're putting pressure, but we're in the same boat as a number of clubs, aren't we, David?
Yeah, and it's just keeping in touching distance, isn't it? And if you can get that consistency, and let's be honest, we haven't been inconsistent under Wilder yet. So if that long may continue, you're always going to be there or thereabouts. I just keep saying to myself, if he's keeping a bang average team with a few oldies, which you've got now, and he's keeping us in touch and distance, what's he going to be like when he brings his own people in? And I'm just clinging on to that hope.
Yeah, and David Bentley's got in touch with us. Thanks again for getting involved again, David. He's just mentioned Wilder as the team looking more structured. All it's missing is a little bit of quality in key areas, notably a striker. As we've mentioned on previous shows, the era seems very reminiscent of the Karanka era, although I don't see Wilder having any hissy fits. This guy is bringing a new level of professionalism to the club, and I think we'd all echo that. So we're going to move on to a few other things before we get on to the Bournemouth match, lads. First thing, obviously we've got Bournemouth at the weekend, Damon, and that's going to be the first game where people have to show either a negative lateral flow test or have a COVID passport to get into the ground. Do you anticipate there being any problems with this at the game on Saturday, Damon?
I'm not sure. I think there might be a few problems, like protests, maybe a couple of protests. I'm not 100% clued up on it because I haven't had the vaccine myself, so I'm not sure. But I know it's going to be on Sky, so a lot of fans will probably just watch it on the TV, won't they? So, see, we've had a good turnout as always when we've been on Sky. So I'm looking forward to that game. I really am.
Yeah. You just hope they don't put the message out regarding the lateral flow results or being COVID boosted just before the game, like Thursday, Friday. You want to get it in early as possible to get the message across for everybody going into the game, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the tester sites, isn't there, at the Riverside?
Yeah.
Great to hear you from Jacob Waters. Hope you're well, mate. Hope everything goes okay tonight. And Guesty, hope you're well, pal. Hope to be seeing you again soon, mate. Talking about the COVID situation, obviously things seem to be taking a little bit of a turn in the last few days, David. Do you have any sort of concerns or worry that we may be playing in front of closed stadiums again soon? The players might be playing in front of closed stadiums. Do you think that's a possibility in the new year?
The way they're talking, you'd have to say yes. But let's be honest, if that happens, the bigger picture of what's going on, it'll just go absolutely through the roof. They're putting a lot of onus onto this booster jabs, but you're taking away people's freedom after they've been telling you to get your life back to normal. So He'd be a very, very brave man for someone to try bringing that back in whilst they're letting you do other stuff away from sporting events. I would be surprised if it happened, but if it did, it would obviously the whole of the whole of the world would have to be on the same wavelength, and it'd be absolute diabolical for the football club as well. Financially, you're back to square one.
I mean, I was just about to say, you picked up on it there, David, that clubs will go under, I think, if it happened again. A lot of clubs, especially in the Championship.
Yeah, in regard to the COVID passports for, getting into the grounds, I'm sure you can just, at some point, I'm no, scientist or whatever, but with technology, I'm sure you could get your season ticket link number to your COVID passport. So that won't be so bad. But the average guy who buys tickets on the door, it'd be interesting to see how they react to that.
Yeah. So that would be me, really. Tickets on the door.
It'd be interesting to see how they do that, because you could just buy your ticket and then just rock up with a lateral flow,
Yeah. Evening, Josh. Hope you're well, pal. Hope you've had a good day today. Guesty's got in touch with us there regarding the stadium situation. And in his opinion, he can see the gates being locked again soon and COVID possibly disrupting Christmas fixtures. We're already seeing this in the Premier League, and what tends to happen in the Premier League tends to filter down. Damon, do you see maybe the Christmas schedule being a little bit affected in terms of Borough's games over the festive holidays?
I think it could be a huge factor, especially if Boris is chopping and changing his man like the bloody weather, which we're all sick of. But that's another story. Yeah, I'm just frustrated the way the world is at the moment. People's livelihoods as well. Trying to keep up with things. I know a friend who's a farmer, and their livestock's going to be down for the winter, and if it carries on, the way it's going, it's horrendous. It really is, James.
Yeah. Well, Lee Fisher,
James, where if it is behind closed doors, let's just make the crucial decision of just suspending the football season. Rather than go, if it's going to cost the club financially and what have you, don't even try carrying on with the season until it's resolved. We don't have to if we can catch it early this time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it doesn't come to that and the season isn't affected, but we'll see how that one develops over the coming weeks, no doubt, lads. David, we spoke on last week's show. We were previewing the FA Cup draw. Hopefully we will all be able to get to Field Mill next month for the game at Mansfield. What did you make of the draw? It offers us an opportunity to progress in the competition. It also maybe gives Chris Wilder a chance to maybe play some of the fringe players as well, doesn't it?
100%. And what was interesting is on Friday's press conference, he was talking about trying to get new players in ready for that Mansfield game. He's indicated he wants his business done early. So for me, that's an ideal game to go into if he can get it that way. So there's no pressure, really. It's a sort of a free hit. Not saying a free hit is it's going to be an easy tie, but let's be honest, in the grand scheme of things, we're not going to win the FA Cup, so it would be a good game to get those players in. I'm just happy, like you said, it's not another championship ground we're going to. It's somewhere different. Whether it was a Premier League or a League One, League Two, I just didn't want a championship side either at home or away. And look, it's the magic of the cup. Mansfield, it'll give them a bit of revenue for their door.
Yeah.
It was just a nightmare that Boro got drawn away, and then the next ball was Hartlepool at home, and it's like, oh.
And I was praying us for us to get Hartlepool, David. I was crossing my fingers.
Well, one man that called it's your man Lee Fisher last week. He actually said during the show last week, Mansfield Town away, and sure enough, it came out. So well done there, Lee.
Well done,
Top man. David, just another thing that got mentioned. It seems we've gone a little bit under the radar. It's gone quiet the last few days, actually. There was a bit of an indication at the back end of last week about the restructuring of the recruitment team at the club. And it was mentioned in Chris Wilder's press conference, I think, on Friday. And it appears as though the club are trying to get forming their own Scott brothers on Teesside, with Kieran Scott coming to the club. Now, he's previously been involved at Swansea. What do you make of that move?
Excellent restructure, and he has picked up some bargains over his career. He did it at Swansea, but he also did it at Brentford. A lot of people forget that he actually started his scouting coaching at Brentford, and I think it's just a sign of what's the first Kieran Scott, is trying to achieve at the club. But I just want to say, I know the recruitment over the past few years has took an absolute hammering from Boro fans, saying recruitment's never been right. Come away from Bowler, come away from Dykesteel, because they've been turned out to be good signings. We've identified good players. We identified Maguire when he was at Hull. We identified Lindelof. We've identified some really, really good foreign players, but we've never got them over the line. So recruitment can only put names forward, and then it's up for the Bowser or whatever to close these deals out. So when a lot of fans are talking about recruitment, I don't think fundamentally that's the issue, because they've scouted those players. We just haven't been able to close the deals off. So that doesn't come on the recruitment, that comes on the business side.
Fair point. Damon, regarding the transfer front, there was a little bit of rumours going around last week that Boro being linked with Dwight Gale. What's your thoughts on Boro being linked with Dwight Gale? Would you be in favour of him coming here in January?
I would, yeah. I've said a number of times that I'd like him here. Yes, he's pushing on for 30 plus, but we've got a number of 30 pluses here, and he's a goal scorer. He's bagged loads. Yes, he's had injuries as well, but he's bagged 30 plus goals for West Brom when he was in the Championship. Doesn't mean to say he'll do it again, but he'll definitely get goals for sure. With the right supply behind him, definitely I'd have him definitely at the top of my list. Also, I would be looking at, as you said before we come on air, James, that I'd be looking at Balogun as well, just as a backup in case you don't get the likes of Dwight Gale. But there's talk of him going to Ajax, so hopefully it's wrong, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts? Parry Wheatley's got in touch, Dave, and he said Dwight Gale's quality. I hope he comes to the club. Would you be happy to see him walk through the doors here in January?
Not for me.
Right.
He hasn't played, so it's going to take him a long time to get up to speed. He comes on a big price tag. He's apparently on 50k a week at Newcastle, so they're going to want the majority of that recouping. And I just think it's at 32, he's 33 in a few months. I don't want that. I think that's going a step back for me of what we're trying to achieve as a football club. I understand
that age, then probably not.
I understand what Damon's saying, and a few others are saying about he is a goal scorer, but I just think in the grand scheme of things of what we're trying to achieve, it'd just be complete opposite of what we're trying to put in the public eye to the fans.
Okay. Let us know, Boro fans, what your thoughts on the Dwight Gale situation. Might come that he goes to another club, but would you be happy to see him in a Boro shirt in January?
I mean, sorry, James. Who would you get if you couldn't get Balogun? Just as an op, who would be out there for you on your list?
Well,
yeah.
See, you don't know, because I mean, I'd very much doubt any Boro fans had heard of Andras Spora before the summer. So
Yeah.
I dare say the club will have ideas, and they'll already know their targets now and who I actually think it's all sorted, to be honest, because I think Chris Wilder's been very confident in press conferences talking about his links with big clubs. I actually think there's a couple of deals probably already sorted. But I think
agree.
it points to being young players that are on loan from big clubs coming here. So I think it's all sorted, to be honest.
Do you know we do like, James, that Cole Palmer from Manchester City?
Right.
Decent little winger. He definitely can do something. He's I think he's only 20 or 19.
Right.
I know you all should get behind signings, but I just hope we don't go for Ollie McBurney.
He was really expensive signing, wasn't he, there at Sheffield United? And again, like you say, I think I'd struggle to see them selling to us, bearing in mind, not just because of the Chris Wilder thing, but we're probably direct rivals this season in terms of trying to go for a top six player. So I can't see them maybe selling someone to us who maybe could turn back and bite them on the backside if he does well here.
Yeah, I agree.
There was plenty of talk of Oliver Burke as well, wasn't there? With that Ollie McBurney as well, but I'd rather have Peck than McBurney.
We're so close to turning into Watmore and Sprawley, turning into an Ali Adair situation where they work hard, but when it comes to your goal scoring return, it's just poor. And then you know,
It's more like Alves and Don Googley.
Oh, did they try hard though?
I mean, Guesty's mentioned there about keepers the first port of call for where our transfer should be. And he's maybe mentioned there about Dean Henderson, who was at Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Would that be, what would you, if you had your choice of priority, would it be a striker or a goalkeeper? And I'll just throw that to both of you. You first, Damon.
Striker for me. That's the main factor. I know you've got backups, but I definitely look for a striker. Yes, it's important we get someone between the sticks, but we've got a number of positions we need to strengthen. But main one is for a striker for me, because you need goals, not shoot you up the league.
Yeah, Josh is with you on that. Colin Fry's just said both, and I think we agree it probably will be both, won't it, David?
It will be. Arguably for me, and I'm with Guesty, I think keeper has got to be the priority. If you get a good keeper who can win you 12 points and keep you clean sheets, you don't lose as many games. And then if you can get your midfielders or wing backs and attackers trying to chip in with the odd few goals, you can win games. If you're just conceding, you know, it's not just goals you're conceding, your defence is struggling as well. And it goes hand in hand for me. So I'm with Guesty. I think a keeper is 100% the priority.
Okay. Right. Well, we'll look into the final game of the first half of the season this weekend when high-flying Bournemouth come to the Riverside. But as has been mentioned elsewhere, they're on a bit of a sticky run at the moment, David. And in terms of that, if you put aside the last 5 games where they haven't won, how impressed have you been with the Cherries this season?
They started off really well, and if you're on paper, if you look at the likes of Belling, Solanke, you know, they've got players who are arguably Premier League players, so they have done well. Scott Parker's a good manager. He's got them playing the right way, but it just shows the inconsistency of the league, doesn't it? And if we beat them on Saturday, they're very much back in it, along with number 4, 5, and 6. You know, they're out of the sort of touching distance with the top 3, but they play decent football and they've got good philosophies, and they're trying to achieve stuff the right way. And it's going to be a really tough game on Saturday. Really tough.
Yeah. And Damon, I mean, Bournemouth last year, they had a bit of a setback, got to the playoff semi-finals, beaten by Brentford. New managers coming in, Scott Parker. How impressed have you been with what he's done? And in terms of the players, who do you see as danger men that we're going to have to watch out for on Saturday?
Well, as far as Scott Parker goes, I mean, I liked him. I liked him when he was at Fulham. I think he was just unlucky.
I thought it was a strange move, Damon. Did you go from Fulham to?
I did at the time, but now he's there. I think he's doing a great job. Yes, he's had a few bad results, but he's got Premier League players, hasn't he? Let's be honest. He's still got Premier League players, quality there. I think the danger men is it Anthony or someone? Jaden Anthony.
Yeah.
Jaden Anthony and Solanke. I think they're quality. They offer something deep. I'd love them. Any of them in my team.
Yeah. Michael Pellin, hope you're well, Michael. He said it's going to be a tough game Saturday, but what game this season hasn't been hard? And I think that's the Championship all over this year. It doesn't matter who you play. It's a tough game. And Guesty's come back to us again and just said Bournemouth struggle to defend any lead the house, so will always be in the game. I mean, they've only lost once on the travels so far this season, David. But that defeat was at Derby. So that gives hope to you. And like I say, they've gone 5 games now without a win. Hope we're not cursing that. But
yeah,
as Guesty's also mentioned there, you're going to get opportunities, aren't you, at the weekend?
You're going to get opportunities in every game in the Championship, and that's why we all love it. You know, even when Norwich went up last season, they dominated, they were still conceding goals, and they were still there to be at. And it just shows the tempo of the league. You know, if you go out, you see it. I think we put it in perspective a little bit more, because in the Premier League, a lot of teams are afraid to go for the win, where in the Championship they're not. So I anticipate both teams to have chances, and there's mistakes in both teams.
Yeah.
You know,
And Damon, do you think in a way the game's kicking off early doors on a Saturday lunchtime, 12:30? It kicked off at lunchtime when I think Bournemouth got beat at Derby. Do you think that can work in our favour? The fact that Bournemouth probably won't be backed by many fans coming up here, which I think is ludicrous, making them come here 12:30 on a Saturday lunchtime. Mind you, I think that happened to us at Brighton the week before Christmas a few years back. But do you think those sort of things can work in our favour on Saturday?
I think it can, yeah, because we've got the home advantage, and of course they have to come from down south, and it's ridiculous, as you said. When we were done the same last year and near at Christmas time, going to, I think it was Wales, wasn't it? I think I'm not too sure. I can't pinpoint it, but yeah, it was. I think we'll definitely have advantage, and for sure. And I think it's an advantage for the rest of the league, looking at to see where we are if we pick up a win, and then they'll think, oh well, we can do better. We'll have to go out and win this, and so that'll give them the rest of the league an advantage as well. So
yeah,
I
Josh.
just hope that the atmosphere in the ground is on Saturday isn't dictated to what's happening regarding the COVID passports.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point you make. That because there could be some people that are a bit cheesed off with things, and if it's not everything's handled well, that could create a bit of a sideshow and a bit of an issue before the actual match, couldn't it, David?
Yeah, you just don't want it to be flat, and that is the talking point. You want fans to go in remembering how lucky they are to be in the ground and build upon that.
Yeah. Well, Josh Nicholson's bringing back happy memories there for Boro fans. That Brighton away game, the week before Christmas 2015, we won 3-0 on our way to promotion that season. Putting yourself, David, in Chris Wilder's shoes at the weekend, though, how do you think he's going to approach that game against what we know is a side that's got a lot of talents going forward?
Well, he doesn't come across as a guy who's going to settle for anything but a win for me, and especially away at home. So I think he's going to go in and just play of what we have played at home this season. I know we got beat by Preston and only got a draw against Millwall, but the performances were good. So I think he'll just stay more of the same. Go out there and enjoy yourself. Try to dictate the game. We know we're not going to get it, but let's stick to the plan and let's go for it.
Yeah. Michael Pellin's mentioned there he's hoping to see Duncan Watmore score a win in the last minute from 2 yards out. Make it nice, comfortable range for him, and running off with a great big smile on his face. That would be nice.
We need to be asking the guy who chose Mansfield away what's going to happen, don't we?
Yeah, Lee, you know. Lee, let us know what's going to happen Saturday. We need to find out from you, pal. In terms of playing Bournemouth or past games against Bournemouth, have either of you lads got any memories from games down the years against Bournemouth, particularly at the Riverside, Damon?
I can remember a few, but none of them stick out to me. I've got a bloody short memory. I think there's a few where, especially when we battered them. I think it was Gaston Ramirez when we were in the Premier League when he done that amazing run.
Yeah, he scored a great goal.
Cut inside, I remember that one. Really good.
Yeah. How about yourself, David? Any other memories from Bournemouth games?
Yeah, I've never been to the Vitality, so I've never been to their ground, because of the travel and what have you. But with Damon, with the home game with Ramirez, I thought that was going to set us off. I thought it was an accomplished performance that game, and I thought it was very, it was going to carry on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Lee's got back to us. He said he could see a bar 0-0 now. He's only joking. He said he can see it being an open game with it ending up 1-1. So
what about yourself, Bournemouth?
Bournemouth, well, I'm a bit older than you lads. I can remember playing them in the 3rd division in '86, and we were both at the top of the table. We ended up being the top two that season to go up. And I think Bournemouth came to the game top of the league, and we absolutely destroyed them 4-0. Remember Stuart Ripley scoring a great goal in the second half. Slaven scored. Bernie might have scored 1 or 2 that day, but we absolutely played them on the pack. My abiding memory of that day, don't know if anyone can remember it, is Bournemouth fans were in the South Stand terrace at the bottom. They only brought a small following with them, and they put up a flag, and it had "We Have the Money," I think making reference to the fact that we'd obviously nearly gone to the wall that summer in '86. Well, last laugh was on them that day because we absolutely tonked them 4-0. I hope they had a good journey home on the back of it. But
My
dad will remember that. I was only 3, so I wouldn't remember.
They've been fluctuating throughout the leagues, haven't they, Bournemouth? So in the 90s, early 90s, I can't remember playing them that much, to be honest with you, because we were in the Premier League for the majority of that.
Yeah, I mean, again, they had their own financial problems later on, and I think they were hit with a massive point deduction, weren't they? And they nearly actually went out the Football League. And Eddie Howe, that was the start of his managerial career there, and he did a absolutely amazing job at Bournemouth, took them through the leagues, got them to the Premier League, and they're now a different club to what they were definitely 30 years ago, very different, and they've got
Didn't they have
financial
a
backing.
Fletcher, who saved them for years?
Yeah, it's Steve Fletcher, I think it was.
He was Steve Fletcher,
yeah. So, yeah, I guess there's a few people that are as old as me out there. Guesty's one of them. Good man, Guesty. I can always rely on you, pal. Michael Pellin, yeah, he's another one. I remember that. But yeah, great days, third division days. Don't want to go back there, but yeah, we had some good days following the Boro that season. So, bringing it back to 2021, lads. Predictions for the weekend: Boro v Bournemouth. Demo, you first, pal.
Going to be a very tight game. I'd like to say a 2-1 win, but I'm going to go with 2 each.
2 each. We see goals then, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on then. How about yourself, David?
I just think we're playing well at the moment, and it's not often I'm going into a game with a bit of confidence. So I reckon we'll nick it. I reckon it'll be a close affair, but I reckon we'll win 1-0. I just can't see us scoring many goals at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I would tend to agree with you there. And I think the thing was, everybody knew this run of fixtures, December as a month's been a tough month. We've had Swansea, Stoke City away, Bournemouth at home, Forest at home is going to be tough. Then you're finishing off with Blackpool away, Sheffield United away. It's been a heck of a month. And like I say, so far we're unbeaten. We're doing well. But this is going to be a real test again at the weekend, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. They won't come here to sit back and try nicking a point. They'll come and try and get the 3 points as us.
Yeah, I don't think they're set up to do that, are they, really?
No.
I've changed my prediction. I've gone 2-1.
2-1 Boro. I'll tell you what, all the viewers are coming in with Boro wins again. Timmy Leach has gone 3-1 to the Boro. Josh Nicholson 2-1 to the Boro. Sue Wardell 1-0 to the Boro. Loads of positivity there.
What are you going for yourself, James?
Mate, I ain't going to go back on what I said last week before we played Stoke. I thought if we get 2 points from those 2 games, that won't be a bad return. Although it doesn't seem a lot in terms of who you're playing against and who you're up against. I thought 2 points was, I'm maybe being pessimistic, as much as you can hope for, I thought, with what we've got at our disposal at the moment against those opponents. So, yeah, I think it might be a draw Saturday. And it wouldn't be the end of the world for me if we got a draw off them.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, I just think with what Guesty touched on when he messaged in about Bournemouth's defence, especially Gary Cahill at the back, he's prone to mistakes, isn't he? I mean, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he's full of mistakes. Same with that Mepham, is it? Chris Mepham.
Yeah, Charlie Mepham.
I said the same about Jagielka and Davies when we were playing Derby away in the box down with strikers.
And sometimes that's the thing at this level. You can be an old, experienced player. I mean, look at our own Sol Bamba.
Yeah.
I think you can do it at this level at the Championship still. And that's not decrying them anyway, but I think experience does go a long way and you need experience in the Championship. And it wouldn't surprise me if Kale had a blinder on Saturday. So we'll wait and see. David Smith there's gone 2-1 Boro win. And we echo this, Josh. As long as we get a win, we'll all be happy. And definitely it'll send us into Christmas in good spirits, boys. But unfortunately, everyone, that's your lot for this week's show. My thanks go to Damon and David. Thanks for being with me tonight, lads.
Cheers, mate. Pleasure as always.
And thanks to you all out there for watching and contributing to the show. Really enjoyed it. We'll return for our final show of 2021 next Monday night. Not confirmed the time yet, but it will be our final show before the Christmas break. So we'll have a look back on the year in general and talk about the Bournemouth game and preview the holiday fixtures. But until then, from us all at Boro Fan TV, stay safe, have a good week, and up the Boro.
Up the Boro.
Cheers, boys.